Discipline is not a gift. It is a blade you sharpen every single morning, and the moment you stop grinding it, the world grinds you instead. Think about the last time you truly gave everything to one task, not half your attention, not a distracted glance between scrolling. Every cell of your focus aimed at a single point like sunlight through a lens. When did that last happen? If you're struggling to remember, this video is your turning point, because here is something most people never face. You are not losing your potential because you lack ability. You are losing it because your attention has been quietly picked apart. Notification by notification, opinion by opinion, distraction by distraction, until almost nothing is left for what actually matters. The ancient Stoics saw this coming, not the exact shape of the modern world, but the fundamental war, the battle for your inner attention. Epictetus, who went from enslaved man to the most quoted philosopher of his era, taught that the only unconquerable territory a human being owns is the inner landscape of their thought. Marcus Aurelius, ruling the most powerful empire in the world, wrote to himself every morning not about conquests, but about concentration, about staying present, about not surrendering the mind to things beyond his reach. What if the reason you feel scattered every day has nothing to do with your circumstances, and everything to do with one habit you haven't built yet? That habit is trained focus, and today we are going to rebuild it together using 10 principles drawn from Stoic philosophy. Principles so battle-tested they survived empires, rebellions, plagues, and the chaos of ancient Rome. They will work for your chaos too. Stay until the very end. Every section sharpens something. Every principle adds an edge. By the time this video closes, you will not just understand focus differently, you will feel the pull to practice it immediately. And before we begin, drop a comment right now. Write this: "My attention is mine to command." Lock it in before we start. It matters more than you think. Your focus is not something the world takes. It is something you silently hand away. In ancient warfare, a city that fell rarely fell because the enemy was too powerful. It fell because a gate was left open, one unguarded crack, one unguarded moment. The same is true of your concentration. Marcus Aurelius wrote in his private journals a warning to himself. Return to yourself. Return to your purpose. He said it because even the emperor of Rome felt the pull of distraction. The noise of court, the weight of opinion, the temptation to react to everything around him. And if the most powerful man in the ancient world had to fight for his focus daily, what does that say about your battle? Here is what nobody tells you. The modern attention economy is not accidental. Entire engineering teams spend years learning how to fracture your concentration and pull it toward their platforms. Every alert, every autoplay, every infinite scroll is a door left open in your fortress wall. Each one costs you something you cannot buy back, a unit of your life's work. Guarding your attention means making deliberate decisions about what you allow in. It means your morning is not handed to a phone screen before you have even formed a single intentional thought. It means you decide the night before what the 3 most important actions of the next day are, and you protect those actions the way a soldier protects a post. Ask yourself honestly, how many hours of last week were genuinely yours, or were they borrowed by everyone else's urgency? Create a sanctuary for deep work, a corner, a chair, a time block, somewhere that your mind learns to associate with signal rather than noise. The Stoics practiced what we might now call environmental intention. They chose the company they kept, the spaces they occupied, the thoughts they entertained. They treated attention as finite and sacred, so must you. This is not about becoming rigid, it is about becoming deliberate. Well, when you begin treating your concentration as the most valuable resource you own, not money, not status, not followers, everything shifts. You stop apologizing for protecting it. You start building the walls. Write this down somewhere visible today. I decide what enters my mind. The sculptor Michelangelo, when asked how he created such masterful figures from marble, reportedly said he simply removed everything that was not the figure. The figure was always there. He just took away the excess. Your focus works the same way. Most people try to add more discipline on top of a life already overflowing with distraction. They add a morning routine on top of chaotic evenings. They add ambition on top of toxic habits. They pile more on, and the weight breaks them. What if the path to clarity is not addition at all, but removal? Where Epictetus was blunt about this. He said that if you want to progress, you must be willing to appear foolish to people who do not understand your priorities. Because when you start cutting away what weakens you, the draining social circles, the passive consumption, the commitments made out of guilt, people will question you. They will call it cold or antisocial. But the truth is simpler. You are simply choosing depth over noise. Think about your current daily life with honesty. Where does your energy go that gives nothing meaningful in return? Which conversations drain you and deposit nothing? Which habits take the first hour of your sharpest thinking and return nothing but numbness? Write those down. That list is your subtraction list. What you remove from your life is often more powerful than what you add to it. You do not have to cut everything at once. Begin with one thing this week, one app removed, one commitment declined, one relationship given less of your rare, irreplaceable attention. Watch what happens to the mental space that opens. This is what the Stoics meant by voluntary simplicity, not poverty, not deprivation, but the intelligent removal of whatever clouds your ability to see clearly and act with full force. Focus does not need more fuel, it needs fewer leaks. Seneca wrote something that should stop every multitasker in their tracks. To be everywhere is to be nowhere. When you divide your energy across 5 tasks simultaneously, you do not complete 5 things adequately. You complete nothing with excellence. The modern world celebrates busyness as if it were virtue. The person with 5 projects, 3 side hustles, and a packed calendar is presented as admirable. But examine the output, examine the depth, examine whether those frantically busy people are actually building anything of lasting quality. Usually, they are not. The Stoic approach to work was profoundly different. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Do every act as though it were the last act of your life. Not fast, not divided, fully present, fully poured into the moment in front of you." What would it feel like to approach one task today with that kind of absolute presence? Single tasking is not a talent. It is a trained behavior. And like all trained behaviors, it begins uncomfortably. Your mind will resist at first. It has been trained for years to jump, to scan, to half commit. Pulling it back to one point feels like holding a live wire. But here is what happens when you persist. You enter a state of concentrated momentum that researchers call deep flow. Time alters. Effort becomes natural. The task ceases to feel like burden and begins to feel like expression. This is not mysticism. It is neuroscience confirming what the Stoics already understood. The fully concentrated mind is the most powerful version of the human mind. Practice this today. Choose the single most important task you need to complete. Set a timer for 45 minutes. Put your phone in a different room. Close every tab except what the task requires, and work. Just work. Notice at the end what you actually produced versus your fractured, divided days. Comment below what your single task will be today. Make it real by naming it. Here is an uncomfortable truth. Your willpower is not the problem. Your environment is. Willpower is a resource, and like any resource, it depletes. Research consistently shows that people who seem to have extraordinary self-discipline do not actually exert more willpower than others. They simply design environments where the need for willpower barely arises. The temptation is not there. The friction protects them. Epictetus understood this at a philosophical level. We become like the company we keep and the environments we inhabit. The space around you is either training your attention or degrading it. There is rarely a middle ground. What does your workspace look like right now? Is it ordered in a way that signals, "This is where I do serious work"? Or is it a landfill of distraction that screams, "This is where we scroll"? The visual noise of a cluttered space creates cognitive load before you have even begun a single task. Redesign your surroundings as if focus were a plant you are trying to grow. Plants need specific conditions: light, soil, water, the right temperature. Focus needs specific conditions too: reduced visual noise, removed digital temptations, a clear surface that signals intention, perhaps a single reminder of your most important current goal, kept visible at eye level. You are not fighting yourself when you design for focus. You are helping yourself. The Stoics were deliberate about where they placed their bodies and their attention. They retreated for reflection. They simplified their possessions. They chose the company of those who sharpened, not dulled, their thinking. You can do the same. That one change to your environment this week, one deliberate redesign, can do more for your concentration than a month of trying harder inside a space that works against you. In a culture that treats constant motion as the marker of productivity, stillness is almost revolutionary. The person who can sit in silence without reaching for distraction is rare, and that rarity is a competitive advantage. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Nowhere can you find a more peaceful retreat than in your own soul." He did not mean this romantically. He meant it practically. He meant that the person who can return to stillness at any moment, in the middle of crisis, in the middle of noise, in the middle of conflict, holds an advantage that nothing outside can strip away. What if the single most productive thing you did today required no movement at all? A stillness trains attention the way resistance trains muscle. Every time the mind wanders during a moment of silence and you gently bring it back, that is a repetition. That is a strengthening, not a failure, a repetition. And as those repetitions accumulate, the muscle grows. The ability to hold focus for longer stretches, to resist distraction more naturally, to return to purpose more quickly. All of it develops through the practice of deliberately being still. You do not need a meditation cushion or an hour of your morning. You need 5 minutes. Sit. Let your thoughts move. Watch them the way you watch clouds, without chasing or fighting them. Then bring your awareness back to one thing, your breath or your single most important intention for the day. That practice, done daily, reshapes how your mind operates under pressure. The Stoics used this practice not for relaxation, but for rehearsal. They would sit in stillness and mentally prepare for the day's challenges, imagining difficulties, rehearsing responses, steeling themselves so that when events arrived, they did not scatter. They were already centered. You can be centered too, but it requires the discipline to stop, genuinely stop, before the day swallows you. Here is something counterintuitive. The obstacles that most damage your focus are not outside you. They are inside you. In the story, you tell yourself about what the obstacle means. When difficulty arrives and you tell yourself, "This is the proof I cannot do this," focus dissolves. But when you tell yourself, "This is exactly the resistance that makes the outcome worth having," something different happens. The mind tightens. The energy focuses. The obstacle becomes, in the Stoic phrase, the very path forward. Marcus Aurelius did not write "the obstacle is the detour." He wrote, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." This is not motivational poetry. It is operational philosophy for high-pressure situations. What problem in your life right now is secretly a sharpening stone in disguise? Think about the last time something went wrong and derailed your concentration for days. Was the problem truly that catastrophic? Or did the story you built around it cost you more than the problem itself? The event arrives. It has weight. But you assign the meaning, and the meaning you assign determines whether the event focuses you or fragments you. Train yourself to ask one question the moment difficulty appears. What does this require of me right now? Not what caused it, not who is to blame, not how unfair it is, simply, what does this require right now? That question is a snapback to the present. It is focus restoration in a single sentence. The Stoics forged their disciplines not in comfortable times, but in trials. Epictetus was enslaved. Marcus Aurelius governed during plague and constant warfare. Seneca faced exile and execution orders. They did not find focus despite those conditions. They built it through them. Your difficulty is not separate from your development. It is part of it. Every day without a ritual is a day spent entirely on other people's agendas. The distracted mind is an impulsive mind. It wakes up and immediately reacts to messages, to news, to other people's demands. It goes through the day in reactive mode, never choosing direction, never building depth, but never protecting what matters. And it ends the day exhausted, scattered, and vaguely dissatisfied without quite being able to name why. The focused mind is different. It has anchors. Rituals are anchors, not rigid chains that remove freedom, but deliberate practices that give each day a backbone so that distraction cannot collapse it. Consider what a morning ritual accomplishes. It takes the first hour of the day, when your prefrontal cortex is freshest, when your willpower reserve is fullest, when the noise of the world has not yet reached maximum volume, and assigns it intentionally. You decide what gets that prime mental territory. Not an app, not a news alert, you. The Stoics built their days around practice. Marcus Aurelius journaled every morning without fail, not for an audience, but to set his mental direction for the day ahead. This was not indulgence, it was precision engineering. He was calibrating his instrument before using it. What would change in your life if your best mental hours were spent on your most important work? Every single day without exception. Epictetus taught that clarity of purpose must precede action. First decide what you want to be, then do what that requires. Your rituals operationalize that decision. They are the daily translation of who you intend to become into concrete behavior. Start with one ritual, one morning practice, however brief, 5 minutes of journaling, not stream of consciousness, but directed. What is my most important goal today? And what is the single action that most advances it? That question, answered in writing every morning, it does more for your focus than any productivity system you can purchase. Build from there. Evening reflection, a midday reset, a weekly review. Rituals do not constrain you, they multiply you. The most disruptive distraction you will ever face lies between your own ears. The inner voice narrates constantly. For most people, that narration runs largely unchecked, cycling through doubt, catastrophizing future events, replaying past failures, undermining current effort. Every one of those cycles is focus being consumed by something that produces nothing. Epictetus was unambiguous. It is not what happens to you, but how you respond internally that shapes your experience. Your outer life is influenced by many forces beyond your control. Your inner narration is not. That narration is editable. But it is something you can deliberately shape, and the Stoics spent significant energy doing exactly that. The first step is awareness. Most people do not even notice the quality of their inner voice, because it runs continuously below conscious attention. like background music in a store. Begin noticing it. When you sit down to focus and your mind says you probably won't finish this, you never do. Notice that. Name it. Do not fight it. Just observe it clearly, the way you would observe weather. Then replace it, not with false positivity, with accurate reframing. I haven't finished this type of task recently, which means I need to protect this hour more carefully and break the task into smaller steps. That response is neither negative nor delusionally optimistic. It is practically directed. It refocuses energy toward action. Marcus Aurelius practiced this with extraordinary discipline. His private journals are essentially a record of him editing his own inner voice in real time, catching cognitive distortions, replacing them with Stoic principles, returning his attention to his actual responsibilities. He was not trying to feel good. He was trying to think clearly. What would happen to your daily output if your inner voice became your greatest ally instead of your most persistent critic? You are the editor of that voice. You always have been. The Stoics simply remind you to take that editorial role seriously. Stoicism is often framed as a purely mental philosophy, but the great Stoic teachers were insistent on something that modern neuroscience has since confirmed. The body and mind are not separate systems. They are one system. And neglecting the body is not a spiritual choice. It is sabotage of the very instrument you are trying to sharpen. If you would never attempt surgery with a rusted scalpel, why would you attempt serious mental work with an exhausted, poorly fed, sedentary body? Seneca put it plainly. The body must be kept obedient, disciplined enough that it does not undermine the mind's intentions through fatigue, restlessness, or physical fog. This was practical, not aesthetic. A mind trying to concentrate through genuine physical exhaustion is like trying to sprint in deep water. The effort is real. The progress is minimal. Sleep is the single most underrated focus tool in existence. Not optimized sleep, not hacked sleep, simply adequate, consistent, genuinely restorative sleep. When you are properly rested, your capacity to sustain attention nearly doubles. When you are chronically underslept, willpower erodes, emotional regulation fails, and even simple tasks feel like enormous friction. Movement is the second piece, not because you need to be an athlete. The Stoics were not athletes, but because the brain is physically nourished by movement. A daily walk, even 30 minutes, improves cognitive clarity in measurable ways. The Stoics walked when they thought. Peripatetic philosophy conducted in motion, was standard practice. There was wisdom in that physical habit. Your focus is not a mental problem to be solved. It is a full-body practice to be maintained. Eat in ways that sustain rather than exhaust. Sleep with intention. Move daily. And not as self-improvement theater, as maintenance of the one instrument you own that cannot be replaced. The final principle is not a technique, it is a reckoning. Most people operate on an unspoken assumption that tomorrow is available, that the real work, the real focus, the real life begins at some approaching threshold, when conditions improve, when the timing is right, when motivation appears, when the perfect morning arrives. And so today gets a fraction of real effort, while the imagination lives in a future that never quite materializes. What if you treated today not as a rehearsal, but as the actual performance? Marcus Aurelius wrote to himself with striking directness. You could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do and say and think. He was not being morbid. He was being precise. He understood that urgency is not panic. It is presence. It is the refusal to treat this hour, this task, this conversation as less than worthy of full attention. The Stoics had a concept called memento mori, the deliberate contemplation of mortality, not to create despair, but to create clarity. When you hold the reality of your life's finite length clearly in mind, the trivial stops being trivial and becomes obviously trivial. The notification, the petty conflict, the passive scrolling. Against the brevity of a life, these things reveal themselves for exactly what they are. Time borrowed from something that actually mattered. The person who lives each day as though focus decides everything does not merely achieve more. They become more. And here is what that looks like practically. Every morning before the day accelerates, you ask one question: what deserves my best attention today? Then you protect that answer. Not perfectly, not without interruption, but with genuine recurring commitment. You return to it, you guard it, you bring your focus back to it whenever it wanders, which it will because you are human and not a machine. At the end of the day, one question closes the loop. Did I give real attention to what actually mattered? If yes, rest with peace. If no, rise tomorrow with renewed clarity, not guilt. Guilt is attention wasted on the past. Clarity is attention directed toward what comes next. The one who guards their focus guards their future. And every single day is where that guarding begins. This is the entire architecture of Stoic focus. Not a theory, not a collection of pleasant ideas, a daily practice. A set of choices made repeatedly until they become the person you are rather than the person you are trying to become. 10 principles, 10 edges on a single blade. Guard your attention like a fortress. Remove what drains your strength. Give one task your entire self. Shape your environment to serve concentration. Practice the art of stillness. Use obstacles as sharpening tools. Anchor your days with ritual. Edit your inner voice with discipline. Maintain the body that houses your mind. And live each day with the urgency of someone who understands that this moment right now is not a rehearsal. These are not suggestions. They are a way of living. And if you choose to live this way, not perfectly, not all at once, but consistently and deliberately, your capacity for focus will not merely improve. It will become the defining quality of your life. Before you leave, hit like on this video and make sure you are subscribed to Stoic Horizon. This channel exists for people who want more than surface-level motivation. People who want the real, ancient, tested tools for building a life of meaning and strength. We are building that community together. And right now, in the comments, write this final line: my focus builds my future. Seal it, mean it, come back to it when the distractions arrive, because they will. And when they do, you will know exactly what to do